I feel sorry for women who feel like they just got to have a man in their life to be complete. I don't believe that. I think it's great when you have someone to complement your lifestyle and you to complement theirs. That's awesome.
Welcome to Boss Bitch Radio. Today, I have a very magnetic and she's like walking sunshine guest, and I can't wait for you to just hear the charm in her voice and how positive she is. She really is doing some amazing things over on Instagram and growing over there in crazy numbers, just being herself. And the guest today is Renee Landers. She is a 73-year-old absolute baddie. Okay. She has 122,000 followers on Instagram. She has done 13 bodybuilding shows. She didn't start her fitness journey really until she was 60. And she lifted weights for 10 years. And then she decided she wanted to start competing. And she's done 13 bodybuilding shows. Absolutely insane. She lives such a joyful and grateful life that it's so pleasant to just be in her space. I met her, I had the pleasure of meeting her at the Angel Competition Bikini Fashion Show last year. We've been following each other and she's already been on the episode, which we are going to also link up that original episode in the show notes if you want to learn a little bit more about her story. But she had a surgery and then it eventually ended up changing her life because it changed her focus and her direction to prove to herself that she really was strong enough to do hard things. And what I really want you to take away, we go into a little bit of business talk. So if you're a coach in the industry or you're a content creator, I selfishly asked her some questions considering the size of her audience. And we went into that. We talked about really what she would say to somebody younger, right? As she's living a very healthy and hot lifestyle. And also really like, what does she want more women to stop doing? That's the key here. But I think you'll fall in love with her. You'll fall in love with her passion for life and her passion for just sharing her message and really just want more Renee in your life. She's absolutely amazing. So I'm going to let you into the episode and come over and find her on Instagram. Let me know what you thought and enjoy the show. My favorite things about you is that you really take a stand for no old speak. And that's something that I also am trying to condition myself in as I'm getting into my 50s and really sending that message to my audience as well, because it makes a huge difference. That's one of my favorite things about you. And then the second thing is really how much that it's obvious that you love yourself. Like you genuinely love yourself, your life, and what it is that you do.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
It's amazing.
The no old speak thing, I believe in that so much. I mean, I really do. And I need to get some merch. I need to get hats. And it's like I need to copyright or trademark that.
You definitely have a fan club.
I mean, it's just one of those things. I can't help it because that is what makes the difference. I mean, when you think old, you talk, there's somebody mentioned it's neuroplasticity is the word. And that is what you put in your brain and it actually tells your body, what to do sort of. So if I can get a few people to quit thinking like an old person, then I'm thrilled to do that. So anyway, I'm happy about that.
And it's so impressive to be on your Instagram because you have built such like a community around that, right? A family. Like most of your posts have lots of engagement and comments. And as a content creator, when you land on someone's Instagram page, you can see how much they're invested in their community really by how their comments are on their posts. It's kind of just some like weird thing that you can observe. And your community is so in love with you and your message, and you've really seemed to change so many lives. And I know you're getting so much publicity and you've had so many opportunities. What would you give advice to content creators that are in the fitness industry? Like if you had to go back when you were in your 40s and 50s and 60s, like what advice would you give to content creators, I guess even just as a whole, when they're thinking about their content?
Well, first of all, I can't, no one's ever asked me this. I never thought about my content being that special, but you're the first person ever asked me that. But well, I would say be genuine. I think that's the most important thing. Be yourself. And if you're yourself, then it's going to come out and people are going to know and see. And I think that would be the number one thing is be who you are. Don't try. In fact, when you quit worrying about the people out there that are watching you or that are going to tune in and just be yourself, I think it works better than if you think, well, what am I supposed to say? What should I say that it's going to impress someone or whatever, So I think you have to get past that. And I think some of that is because of my age. Okay. Like when I was younger, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, I was probably a lot more concerned about it. In fact, that's one of my things here about if I was going to say something, don't care what other people think.
I
It's
was
like,
going to say that's the moral of the story.
yeah, and it really is because when you get past all that about worrying about what others think, you can just express yourself and be you and you can just let your light shine. And I'd say that's number one. Now, that's not specific other than just be genuine, be yourself. That's the main thing I would say, as far as what people say and do, there's so much out there on Instagram. It's just crazy. And
What do you
I wish
feel
I was.
like people really love about your content? Because, and the reason why I'm spending so much time here for those that are listening is because you don't have kind of a following. Like you have 120 plus thousand followers on Instagram, and I'm assuming it's all organic, right? Like you haven't paid for ads.
Every bit.
Yes.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And
People
that's,
ask me all the time.
yeah, that's
It's all
not
organic.
that's
Yeah.
not an easy feat, right? I'm almost at 18,000, and so even to get there, I know how much work I had to put in, and it feels as a content creator looking at you, I'm like, this just seems so fucking effortless for her.
Well,
I'm like,
you never. I
like,
don't know.
and I'm like, what is her strategy? Like, is she focusing on like 2 workout posts and then a bikini post? Like, I'm like, Renee's probably just putting on whatever the fuck she wants and everybody loves it, But do you find that you tend to gravitate on sharing certain things because they're going to get a lot of engagement with your people?
Well, I kind of know some things that do get engagement. I know I've learned some of that, but you never know what's going to really engage some people. I mean, you just don't know. And so that's part of the idea of just put a lot of content out there. That's what, Mr. Beast will tell you.
Yes.
You just keep putting a bunch out there. But I would say like my birthday post with me in the blue dress. I don't know if you've seen that one. That was on March 8th. I had this blue shiny dress on. I wore to this party afterwards. And I got a lot of comments about it and I got a lot of followers from it. I'm still getting people wishing me happy birthday. And that was March 8th.
Oh
Okay.
my goodness. So it went viral a bit.
It's got about 900,000 views so far. But here's the cool thing. Then I went back because I got a lot of trash talk also
Of
about
course.
it. Okay. And so then I put out a subsequent post about that. I said, okay, all right, I got a lot of, feedback and a lot of people are saying negative things. They think it's inappropriate. I'm too old, blah, blah, blah. And that's when and so I just lashed out about that. And then I got a ton of followers. I probably got 10,000 followers from my birthday post to that subsequent post, just because I was telling it like it is,
I love that.
I never dreamed that, but I think it's just being yourself. And there's a few basic things that I have learned. And people, when they ask me, well, you never really know. I don't know how the damn algorithm really works, but
Right.
You got some you always put some of the same taglines in, but a few things are the shorter the better. Usually, you probably learned that too. But they change all the time. Whatever happens one day, whenever you go to the Instagram, oh, this doesn't work anymore the way I used to do it. What's going on here? But anyway, there's a few things, and being to the point. The first 3 seconds, you've got to get their attention. The first 3 seconds, okay. And so I've just kind of learned from some of the things that I do the same thing every time, and I try to keep it short. And the other thing is, I try to make it interesting. Like I look at it several times before I post it. Oh, no, that's no good. I'm going to change that, blah, blah, blah. It's like, what do I want to see? And how am I going to stay engaged? Because that's what it's about. Like what's interesting, when I do it and I don't do any of this, I don't have edits or any of those fancy programs to do it. You can tell a
Do you
lot
do
of
it
is
straight? You do it straight from the app? from the
Yeah,
Instagram app?
yeah. I don't have anything, and I don't use filters. The only filters I use are whenever you can put the tint.
Yeah.
I'll do that, and then I'll crop it or something like that. But I don't do any of that other stuff. I don't have any of that, and I hate AI. Okay, I just
Yeah.
hate it
Yeah.
because I don't want to ever do any AI stuff. I don't want any AI stuff of me either. And I think that's another thing. People do all these little silly kissy faces and stuff, and that's cute, but where's the real you in there? That's how I feel about it too. But engaging in the first 3 seconds is really important. What's going to engage somebody? Well, a bikini does, or just something entertaining. It doesn't have to be a bikini, but something that's going to draw people's eye, and just being yourself and going through it a few times. Like I said, I redo them over and over again, and sometimes they fall apart,
Yeah.
but just being yourself, I think, is one of the most important things. That to me makes such a big difference. And I don't know why I've got so many people following me. It's crazy. Just when I think nobody's going to follow me anymore, I get more followers. And it's happened. Well, just like I didn't post anything for several days here. We've had these tragedies here
Yes.
in Texas.
Yes.
It's been terrible. And I didn't post anything, and I still got followers, and there's there's the ebb and flow. Some get rid of you and then whatever. I don't know. But I think that blue dress post is still making its way around the world.
It
It's
must
crazy.
be. It's your Monica Lewinsky moment. That's what we're going to call it.
I love it. I love it. I love it. That $35 Amazon dress.
There you
So
go.
fucking so funny.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
anyway, but yeah, I just think be yourself. And I know what I need to do. They'll tell you, well, you need to have a schedule. One day you're going to post content. The next day it's about education, and
Yes.
there's a schedule. Well, I can't do that. That's just too regimented. I mean, I worked hard for a gazillion years in my business being regimented, and I'm doing this for fun. I mean, nobody's paying me to do this, and I don't have any clients, so I don't have to do anything. I
You don't
just
answer,
do.
but Renee.
That's right. That's right. And it feels good. It feels pretty
I
good.
imagine it's the secret sauce. Just be yourself
It
and post
is.
what you want, right?
Yeah. Oh, and yeah, that's the thing. Quit worrying about getting followers. I mean, I guess that's the other part. When you let that go and you just post who you are and the things that I think are interesting, at my age, what do people want to hear? Well, I really don't know, but I try to post things that I think people care about that'll make a difference in their lives, maybe, and when people do reach out to me and say, "Oh, I've been following you for a year or two, and I joined a gym and I've lost 50 pounds and blah blah blah," and that makes me feel so good. It's like then it's really
Exactly.
worthwhile. It really is.
How many people have reached out to see if you'd coach them?
To
Nobody.
a bunch.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bunch. And I usually always say, oh, I don't want to be a coach or a trainer, and I do, tell them whatever I know. And I mean, I have a great trainer, and I've tried different things too. But yeah, I mean, and some people say, you need to monetize. Well, I hate not to make money. I mean, I was a single mom with a small business, which I still have that business. And now my son actually runs it. And it's not my nature to do a bunch of work that I'm not getting paid for.
Right. Right.
So, but if I could make money doing it, that would be great. But it's not that important to me. I don't want to be having a job. I want
Yeah.
to feel free to have fun and share what I can with people that might make a difference in their lives. And hey, I would love to get more followers if I could make a difference. That's what it's really about, making a difference. And so anyway, I don't know if that answers your question or
Yeah.
not.
No,
but,
that was great. Really just like, I've spent probably over 6 figures in education around business, and whether that was mentorships, masterminds, programs in the course of 20 years. Right. And so
Wow,
I'm always like looking for like, what's the formula? Like what's the checklist? What you need to do?
Yeah.
And there's always some iteration of that. Like you said, right? Like on Monday, post this, on Tuesday, post this. And there's like a plan and it's all strategy. But then there's situations like this where you're just like, you just follow your intuition about what you would want to see. And it makes sense that that's what you're posting. Right. And so
Yeah.
I think, and I'm speaking for myself too, because I'm kind of crawling out of an Instagram posting funk, and I'm not really posting in the feed and just kind of hanging out in the stories with my audience. And it really is because I feel like I don't know what to post, because I almost have the curse of knowledge. Like there's too much that I know from doing it for
Yeah.
20 years. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't even know what anybody wants to know right now. Right.
Yeah. Well, but you are so engaging. See, to me, I love your personality because you're just so real. So to me, anything you put out there, people are going to want it. I mean, that's what I would think. And for you, you just need to put yourself out there and be yourself and just be your gregarious, engaging, wild woman self.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think that's really, your thing. And you have all of this knowledge from, being in the business for so long that people need. And the younger girls, I mean, I don't know. I'm not trying to give you advice,
No, I love this. Please.
I don't even remember how old you are. How old are you
40,
now?
I'm 47.
Okay, 47. Okay, so you're still so young. But so those I don't know who's your audience. Is it 20 and
It's
30-year-olds and
no,
40
no. Actually, it's women 45 and plus.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
40. That's my target market. That's who I would rather work with, right? I have a few influencers that I work with who are actually in the fitness industry, and one of them has 1 million followers, which is crazy. But
Awesome.
so I'm coaching coaches, and I really want to work with women in more of like leadership roles, entrepreneur, things like that, who really, like, as you know, in that sort of like you're building your business 40s or whatever, oftentimes you neglect yourself, right? Your health goes last because you're grinding and you're doing all the work things,
Right. So
burnt
hard.
out. And so that tends to be who I draw in because I had to pull myself out of that, right? And so
Right.
that tends to be the woman I'm speaking to.
Well, yeah, because you've lived it, and so you know what it's like, and
Yeah.
you know what it's like to pull yourself out of it. So that's a good audience. Now, and the other thing is, I think it's important not every time you post something to be selling something. I
Yeah,
guess that's the other.
for
And so,
sure.
yeah, and that's what I see because I think people notice desperation. I
Yeah.
call it desperation, and I see a lot of that on Instagram. People are sort of desperate, to get people to buy their stuff or whatever they've got, I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's easy for me to say because I'm not desperate, but
It does
but
make
I
a
think,
difference.
yeah, I think it does make a difference. So I think that's important. But I just, for you, you're just awesome. And I want to do whatever I can to help you. If there's anything I can do,
I
well, I
love
want to
you.
do it. Yes.
You're
I don't know what
amazing.
I can do. It's just, it'd be so cool. Because, it makes me feel good. I mean, that's what I've learned in life. It's okay to let people help you because it makes them feel good.
Yeah.
And I'm terrible. That would be, I'm so independent. It's hard to let people help me do anything.
I'm the same.
And yeah, and it's fault. So when people can do that, they're going to feel good too, and it brings them joy. So let other people help you sometime. It's really okay.
I appreciate that. No, I thank you. I appreciate that so much. And it's so inspirational, right? Because I know how powerful social media is, and honestly, even just from having a podcast, right? Like we're at 600,000 downloads, which for me, I'm a smaller
That's a lot.
yeah, I'm a smaller podcaster, but also think about 600,000 people sitting in like a stadium, an auditorium, or like wherever,
Yeah.
right? That's a lot of ears. So I'm always super grateful for that. And I don't take it lightly. So I always know when I post, I'm always like, ooh, I want to make sure I'm being in integrity and not steering the conversation in the wrong way too. So I think about those things probably way too
That's
much.
good.
Yeah,
But you want to keep your integrity, and that's really important.
most definitely.
That's good.
Most
Good for
definitely.
you.
But when it comes to social media, I know we're kind of hanging out here because it's a fun topic, and I have a
it's
lot
cool.
of people. I have a lot of coaches who listen to, so that's probably great for them to hear. What kinds of opportunities do you feel like you've had with the growth of your Instagram? Like you've met some really cool people, you've gone places, you're living like
yeah.
this crazy, amazing life, which
Oh, my
I just want
God.
to ride on the coattails
Oh
of.
my God. Yeah. And I call that the power of yes. And so I've got my little sticky note about
Yay.
it.
Okay, perfect.
And so, because that to me is part of this is being open. You got to be open. But I am amazed at the friends I have met on Instagram, and it's like this is like a blessing. This is just awesome that I get to interact with you, who you are, and I get to do that a lot. And that was something that, well, for a year I never even spoke on my Instagram. I was scared to speak.
Oh, wow.
Okay, I still remember, like, I was scared to death to actually speak. And finally when I spoke, well, then you couldn't shut me up.
That's too
It's
funny.
like, but yeah, so I don't know. That was a big thing for me is not being afraid to talk and speak and let people know, what you're doing. And I'm kind of getting off track here, but yeah, the power of yes. It's about saying yes to things. And I don't know what else would be important to tell you there, but I
Really
would
just
just
like
say,
how as social media has given you a lot of different, or like you've
well,
probably met
okay.
some crazy great people.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So here's one cool thing, and it's part of this power of yes. So many months ago, Julia George invited me to her birthday party. She was going to be 50 years old, and it was like April the 12th
Wow.
in Qatar,
I
or
saw
however you
that.
want to say it.
Qatar, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And I know her through the angel community. She was one of my first angel friends. She came from there to the US to actually be in an angel show a few years ago. She flew a long way to come here to do that. And that's when I met her, and we just kind of became friends. And then she invited me to her birthday party. And I'm going, okay, that's a long way away to go to a birthday party. But I
Very.
said, I'm going to do, yes, I'm going to go. I'm coming to your birthday party. And then that was the beginning of me planning a 27-day trip, flying to Italy. And then I went through like 6 countries, including a 10-day cruise in Greece, and then to Dubai, and then to have her birthday, to go to her birthday party. So, yeah, I mean, I have had so many opportunities just from that. When I did go to that, end up at her birthday party, on the way, I met my girlfriend in Italy that I met last year when I competed in the UK, and she lives in Italy, and she picked me up at the airport. So I get to revisit my friends in these places. I mean, just like if I came to see you, and
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's so cool. And so I got to travel with her. I mean, just one thing leads to another. I got to meet some other cool people in Italy that happened to follow me on Instagram that I never knew that we got together, and then when I did the cruise, and one of the anyway, I don't want to go into it. It takes forever, but
This is
I
great.
ended up.
This is what I want. I want people to see the power of social media and like how being yourself
Oh
like
yeah,
gives you so much experience in life. And I'm
it
noticing that
does.
too, right? Not just as a quick, like I just went to Mexico with my client who was a podcast listener, turned into a competitor, and she's from Canada. She has 1 million followers. Like we went
Oh
to
my
Mexico.
God,
I stayed with her
cool,
in her Airbnb and her daughters, like, and she's going to be a lifelong
awesome.
friend, like hands down.
Where in Mexico did y'all go?
Sayulita.
Oh, I don't know. That's
It's
that's probably
close
a really
to
cool place.
Puerto Vallarta. It's like a little surf town.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
That is so,
But
see,
yes.
that is so cool. I love hearing that. I mean, that's like, and that's going to be a lifelong friend, whether you see one another once a year or whatever, it doesn't matter. And that is part of we have to be open to this, though, not be afraid of it. You have to be, selective, of course. But so that's awesome. And the big thing was this was a solo trip for me. And I guess that's what I want to mention too. It took me 70 years to finally do solo travel. I mean, I did it once, like, 20 or 30 years ago to Club Med. But anyway, it just, it's so crazy because when you do solo, you get to do what you want. You're
Oh
not
yeah.
on anyone else's agenda, and you make your own agenda. And I made my own agenda for this whole trip. And like, no, I didn't have a travel agent or anything like that. And I figured it out. But I had some help. My Italian girlfriend had some ideas for me, and she arranged for me when I flew to Milan to get on a bus and travel to Lake Como by bus for 12 euros. So, I mean, so you meet people, and people become your friends, and then they reinforce that and they help you. So I had a wonderful time in Italy. Then I went to Dubai, and guess what? There, I got to stay in the home of a woman, another Instagram friend, Bego, who lives in Dubai. And she hosted me and her 3 beautiful daughters. And I stayed at her home, and her husband was wonderful. And I got to do that in Dubai. I mean, who gets to do that? That was for 2 days. The second 2 days, I stayed with another couple that was my birthday girlfriend's aunt and uncle, and they lived in Dubai. So 2 days with Bego, and we did the safari, and we went to the gym and worked out at this famous gym. I can't remember the name of it right now, but it's a big gym in Dubai. All these fancy ass vehicles all parked out in front, And but
Amazing.
anyway, and so then I went to the next spot, and they were just so lovely. And then I flew to Qatar, and I had just such wonderful experiences because people just want embrace you. They reach out. And when I was planning this, you don't really think people are serious, about having you come to their house. But I just started reaching out to the people. Okay, do you know a place I can stay, a hotel and such and then, before you know it, I'm staying at some people's houses, which
That's
which was
amazing.
great. it was amazing. So it leads to so much more. And the solo travel, that is, you should try that. I mean, do it before you're 73. That's what I would tell women who are single, men, women, whatever, because it is just so cool. It's so empowering, and you can do it, and you don't have to have somebody, planning your every moment, So anyway,
Why do you
so
think,
yes.
quick follow-up question on that. Why do you think it took you to 70 to finally do solo travel?
Well, for years, I mean, I have so many different groups of friends and I love, so many of them. I've got dance friends and I got cruise friends and I got blues friends. And I just usually just jumped onto one of their trips, like that we're like, I've already done 6 cruises this year and I got 2 to
Amazing.
go. It's crazy. But anyway, but yeah, so it's always more fun when you're going with a group. And I love it when someone else says, well, I've got all this stuff planned. Okay. Well, how much do I pay? And, when do I need to be ready? And so I've done so much of
Definitely.
that, but there's places I wanted to go and things I wanted to, and I want to go to the Galapagos. I want to go on a safari. I have a bunch more stuff I want to do, and I'm going to probably plan those by myself. But yeah, I was afraid. It was being afraid. And once I did it last year, when I went to compete in the UK and then Italy, it's like, oh, this is so fucking awesome. Yeah, that's
Yes,
all I
yes.
can say. It's like, oh my God, I can do what I want the way I want. I don't have somebody say, oh, you got to get up now. I don't have to do any of that. So that was so empowering. And, hey, I love being empowered. That's kind of a thing. So it just turned into such a great experience. Yeah, I was a little afraid. But see, that's just it. I was afraid. And that's what kept me from doing it. And finally, I said, I'm just not I can't be waiting around on everybody. That's the thing. You waste time waiting for other people to do stuff. And, stop that. Start earlier. That's what I would say. If you're afraid to go on a big trip, well, go a long weekend somewhere. And it's pretty cool. And yeah, and then when you're alone, and being open, you got to be open. You're going to meet some new people that you would never have met just by going by yourself. So instead of cowering in your room and being afraid, go sit, in the bar or whatever. I mean, I don't hardly even drink, but that doesn't matter. So
Renee,
it
all
just
of us introverts are crawling under our skin right now.
y'all are the ones who loved. I know,
We,
'cause you got to stay home.
I am so sorry, but yes, I was like, I need to
know.
see people. I'm okay with that. Zoom is okay. We're cool with Zoom. But, and I'm being silly, but in all seriousness, I have found just travel to be so rewarding and fulfilling for my soul, just to see other places and other cultures and different people and different experiences, and just being a yes and letting fear kind of sit in the back seat. Right. I'm just like, I
Good
need
for
to kind of
you.
let that be. And it's been a game changer. I mean, it has with pretty much every endeavor, but I just love watching your
that's
adventures.
good.
It's amazing.
Well, I'm glad because, you as an introvert, you're forced out there and your business, you are forced to do this stuff. And that's good for you. That's the thing I would say. It's good for you
Yes.
because you're going to have so many more opportunities. And it doesn't have to be with travel. It can be with anything, just not have so much tunnel vision. And of course, I like my own alone time too. I mean, I've been living by myself for many years, and, Coco and me, we get along really well. And so you learn how to enjoy it. I mean, I like my own time, so you'll figure it out. But yeah, I think it's good for you. It's how you have an opportunity to have more experiences, and life is short. Don't waste it.
We call them growth opportunities. They're
Oh, that's
growth,
growth opportunities.
growth
They are.
opportunities. Yes.
They are.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to your own journey, right? Your own like personal development journey, your fitness journey, even you even mentioned being a business owner. Have you had your own mentors along the way? Have you ever hired your own coaches, mentors, maybe family members, somebody because you didn't start working out till 60, right? So this is a later half of life transformation.
It is.
And I ask this because I do see that women really struggle with investing in themselves. Whether that's higher education, learning a craft that they're really passionate about, putting themselves out on social media, maybe hiring somebody to help them kind of get some brand stuff going. Just in any way, women really struggle, especially if they have children. I don't know if you resonate
Oh yeah,
with that.
I was a single mom. Yeah, I was from the time he was 2.5, and I had this business. So yeah, it was hard. You do it all by yourself. It's hard.
Yeah.
And well, I didn't. Well, in fact, I want a mentor right now, and I don't have one. It's hard to find a mentor when you're 73. But I didn't have one, and there were so many times when I wish I did, but I had to kind of learn it on my own, really. And that's really what I did with my business. It's like I just kind of had to figure it out, and that is hard. That's a character building experience, or your growth opportunity.
Yeah.
And I wish I did have somebody to bounce things off of sometime. I still wish that. And but it's hard, but I think it's a great thing. In fact, with all of your listeners out there, if anybody might want to be my mentor, I'm looking for a mentor because I need a rock. Yes, it's like having a rock. But I did have some great therapy for many years from an awesome woman, Joyce. She was just awesome. And then my mother was just spectacular. I mean, I've had some strong women influence in my life. So I guess so in a way they have been my mentors. But one thing I learned from my therapist was sometimes you just have to say that's good enough. And that is really true because, I'm sure I was a perfectionist for many years and probably sort of still am. Sometimes you just have to say, okay, I've done everything I can do. That's good enough. And it's okay. And so that was one of the things that I learned from her, among other things. She was really like a friend as much as she was a therapist. And my mom, she was just amazing. My dad was an alcoholic. It was a pretty tough childhood. And she was a strong woman. And despite the challenges, she always had a positive attitude. And, I saw that and I made the most of that with my mom for so many years. She just made a huge difference in my life too. So I say I didn't have any mentors, but I kind of did, but different mentors, not somebody that I could go call on the phone today and say, hey, I'm not sure what to do about this. What do you think? I mean, I don't have that.
With a trainer, you started to work with somebody when you were 60, right? After your.
Yeah, that's right. And my doctor introduced me to my trainer. It just happened to work out, and he was so good. And I was just fortunate because he knew how to train people who had injuries, and so that was I was so fortunate. So, and I took a break from him for a while this past half a year, and I worked with someone else who was really great too. But I'm an in-person kind of gal, and I was spoiled to that. And so I'm meeting him like twice a week, and he's training me, but I do it on my own. I work out, about 5 days a week, maybe 6 days a week, something like that. So he is really, and he's a good guy. So I'm grateful to have him because he keeps me from getting hurt. And that means so much to me because I need to be, your health is everything. So
yeah,
that's important.
Yeah. How many bodybuilding shows have you done so far?
13. Oh. And I did all of those. Yeah. And I mean, I did those from 69 to 72. I haven't done one this year, but last year, it was like in September, I did a few last year. But yeah, I mean, I did a ton of them really quickly, because I loved it so much. And after the one I did in the UK last year, it's like there are some coming up, and I'm not as ready, like this is the heaviest I've been in a while, but there's building season, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm not sure what I'm going to do this year. I am going to walk in the Angel Bikini Show August the 8th in Nashville. That's going to be fun.
Okay.
And so I know I'm doing that. And then there is a competition in October that I'm probably going to do. I don't know everything about it yet, but yeah, so I'm still going to do some things this year. I've kind of been, you know how hard it is to compete. It is so hard. It's just hard. I mean, so I thought about competing in Universe, which was just, like last weekend, and Masters, but, I didn't do it. Honestly, I just wasn't self-disciplined enough to say, okay, I can lift the weights, but I'm not always perfect with the food. And,
that's the hardest part.
That is like, oh my God, that is so hard.
What's your like vice? What's your like when they say, okay, we're going to go into prep, what are you instantly like, oh, I have to stop doing this?
Probably eating rice cakes at night. I mean, the worst thing to do is eating too many rice cakes and some carbs.
You're the perfect client.
I'm going to have to put the rice cakes in the garage or something. But,
in the vault.
Yeah, in the vault. I just won't buy. And then I get these semi-sweet chocolate chips, and I'll eat those too. Those are my two bad things. And just here's my schedule right there. From
your
Erin.
Diet.
She sent. yeah, of my diet that she sent me a few weeks ago, and I haven't been following it perfectly. I mean, that's why I'm not, stage
Yeah,
lean, and
yeah.
I'm not going to be stage lean, but hopefully. And I even told Dustin just today, okay, I got to get serious about this. I'm going to be on stage in a month, and but it's not for a competition. It's going to be for fun.
Yes.
So I'm going to, try to, lean out a little bit and just have fun, and even though I am confident, I do love myself. I still give myself a hard time. I
Really?
still beat myself. Yeah. And in fact, that's part of what I was going to say. Here's my other little note.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Don't beat yourself up so much. I mean, I'm guilty of that. It's
Mm.
like, I mean, I'll eat those rice cakes and then I'll eat some of those chocolate chips and then I'll say, I hate that I did that. Golly, how am I going to get where I want to be? So I'm a human being, is what I say. And it's not alcohol. Like, I barely drink.
Yeah.
That doesn't bother me. I'm on these cruises. I get 4 free drinks a day automatically. That's part of my benefit from cruising so much. And I usually give those away to other people, or I'll get sugar-free Red Bulls and put them in my room. That I'll get my credit for them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
alcohol is not it, but and it's just too much of the food. I
Yeah.
can't even say, oh, I went and got me. I don't eat meat, so it's just too much. And I know I got to get this
Okay.
many.
So you just triggered me now because you don't eat meat. Tell
No.
us because the question's going to be, how does Renee get her protein?
Okay. And the way I don't want to get it is from protein powder, although that is, I will, and from protein bars. I mean, and everybody, those are not the best ways. You know that.
Yes.
They're okay, but so I'm big on eggs and egg whites. I have egg whites and eggs every morning. And then I do the Vital Protein collagen peptides. They actually have some protein in them too. Quite a bit actually. And then I have do meal prep. I've got my food in the fridge right now. And I usually kind of have the same things. I have, because I work out maybe around 10ish. I go to the gym somewhere between 10 and 12 or something like that. And so I'm going to eat my breakfast, which is going to be that, and then I'll probably put some oatmeal in, I mean, all in one little skillet. I don't get fancy. And I'll put the, dried oatmeal in there, the organic oatmeal, and my collagen peptides, and my 4 ounces of egg whites, and my one egg. And, there's a lot of protein in all that. And that's what I'm going to have before I go to the gym. And then after that, there's going to be 5 meals, right? And then it's probably going to be some kind of fish. It's going to be cod or salmon or shrimp,
Okay. So you'll do
along with
seafood.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
some kind of
Perfect.
seafood. That's right. And I mean, and I boil eggs, and I may have a salad with a bunch of boiled eggs. And omelets are great too. So that's what I do. Yeah. So most of the seafoods, and I get most of my seafood from Costco that I would prep. And I don't eat out that much. I will go out to eat, but you know how that is. There's
Yeah.
so much bad stuff. So you have to be prepared for what you're going to do when you go out, just planning ahead. But yeah, I'll have probably some kind of fish and rice. I make this rice with some kind of Indian flavor. Forgot
Ooh.
what you call it. Oh, turmeric,
Yes.
turmeric. And I put artichoke hearts and the turmeric in there and a bunch of other spices with my rice. And it's really yummy. And I get a little bit of, the artichoke. So I have a little bit of different stuff. So I'll have that, and I've already got that portioned out in my little Tupperwares, so I know, however many grams, I don't know, 120 grams or something like that. And the same with the fish, 120, whatever. And so yeah, I'll have that before and after the gym. And at night, that's when I get into trouble, right? At night. And I buy romaine lettuce, so I'll buy tons of romaine and wash it. And you can make little boats out of it and
Hmm.
put like tuna salad and stuff like that. So I'll do that. I'll boil eggs and make canned tuna. Now I get the safe catch because actually from all these years of eating seafood and lots of tuna, I discovered about a year ago that my mercury levels were a little bit elevated.
I was going to
Now I don't
ask.
have
Yeah.
any, yeah, I don't have any symptoms, but tuna, that large fish, those are the ones that eat the stuff that has the mercury. So I am more cautious over the past couple of years about what tuna I do eat for that very reason. And I only eat the safe catch, the wild caught stuff. And I don't eat any farm raised stuff. And that tilapia, I'm sorry, that's all farm raised. I'm just
It's
not going
so
to eat it.
gross. I can't do it.
It's gross. I mean, on the cruise ships, a lot of times that's all they have, which sucks.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So that's what I eat. And then at night, that's when it gets to be tough. That's when I just need to go take a sleep gummy and go to bed. So
I love that.
I have started doing some gummies for that purpose, the sleeping kind.
For sure. Only that purpose.
Yeah, there's some good ones for sure. I have them around here somewhere. In fact, the one I use is like Vermont whole flour, and it's made from the whole flour, not the stems and all that.
That's
So
good.
it's
It's
the really
cleaner.
good stuff. Yeah, it's totally clean, and you're getting the best stuff there.
I love that. So let me ask you some other random questions
Oh,
because I
sure.
really, with our coaching program, we really focus on some fundamental pillars that a lot of like other, I have found other fitness coaches don't. And the reason why I know is because I get a lot of their clients that are like, oh my God, my coach never used to do these things or ask me about these things, right? Because you are so vital. You have so much energy. Clearly, you're able to do 13 competitions in how many years was that? 2 years, something?
It,
3 years?
3 years,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's like virtually
It's a
unheard
lot.
of, right? I've done
It's a lot.
16, but over 10 years.
Uh-huh.
So, with that, there's a lot of things that I talk about with living like a healthy and hot lifestyle, right? Sleep. Are you sweating? How many steps are you getting? How are you managing your stress, right? Are you being consistent? Do you understand why you're doing these things? Like you understand why you need to consume protein and like kind of teaching them lessons along the way. You need to lift weights, right? You got to eat protein and just all of these little foundational things because they're going to carry you through life, whether you want to be trying to see your abs or not, right? Like this is just
Right.
things you want to do to grow old and great and grow old gracefully, right? And have a good quality of life.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
I would love to just kind of run through just some averages for you, right? Like
Oh,
how many
sure. Of
steps do you
course.
usually get per day?
Well,
If you
okay.
had to
So
guess.
So for forever, I had a Fitbit. I mean, since 2015, I've been logging my steps. I had a Fitbit. Well, I lost and I switched to an Apple Watch a year or two ago, and I lost my Apple Watch in Crete when I was on my Greek cruise. I lost it. I stuck it in my coat, my jacket real quick because I had to leave and I was meeting somebody. And then I found, it was on like find your,
Oh yeah.
phone. And we were already at sea and it was like, thousands of miles away and it found it. And so I lost it. And since then I haven't had a tracker. And that was like in, whatever, April. This is the first time in my life I
I was
have
gonna
not
say
tracked. Now, I mean, I do have, I
Apple
do log
Health.
my food.
Yeah.
And I have something, whatever it is, chronographer or chronometer. That's
Yes.
what she uses. And then I have a scale, that is actually a scale that it's an ARIA scale that connects to an app. So anyway, but honestly, I was always getting, maybe 15,000 steps a day. Now I don't know exactly now, but I have a pretty good idea and I'm probably getting probably 10,000, something like that. I'm not killing it on the steps like I used to because I used to walk 10 miles a day before I was started bodybuilding. I mean, literally
Oh
10 miles. I
wow.
walked everywhere for years and that did not do anything. Okay. Did not change anything in my life. I was still 10 pounds heavier than I am right now. So that's overrated. That 10 miles a day. So you don't need to do that, but whatever. And it could burn a little fat, but so I'm probably doing 10 to 12,000 steps a day. Okay. What else? I mean, I'm happy to answer these
Yeah,
questions and
yeah.
I,
So
pick my
how important is sleep for you?
Okay, sleep is very important, but I don't sleep well. I mean, you see this
Yeah,
hyperactive
I
person,
imagine.
this
You're a
this
ball of
brain
glitter.
just doesn't slow down. And I went to a sleep doctor, and he said it's not sleep apnea. You have psycho something or other where your brain never shuts down. So
Uh-huh.
that's what it is. And
Okay.
and so I have tried different things for sleep. I mean, and I don't want to take any sleeping pills. That's, I don't want to get addicted to that. So I mean, on the average, I probably only get, 5 hours of sleep a night. But if I'm taking the gummies, which they are really good, then I'll get closer to 6 or 7 hours, and it just depends. But and I think sleep is so important, and it's still something I'm working on. I would just say, whoever's getting 8 hours of sleep, I'm jealous, and
Yeah. Yeah.
do it. And I'm jealous of y'all because you're losing more weight and you're recovering better because you're sleeping more. I think maybe that's just me and my genetics. My mother was also a big energetic person, and I don't think I'm hurting too much because I'm not sleeping, but I do wish I could sleep more. So that's something. So don't sleep like me.
That's okay. Do you drink a lot of caffeine?
I just drink coffee I have 1 cup of coffee in the morning and maybe a cup and a half, but that's it.
Yeah.
I might have since, I went on this cruise, I probably brought back, like 30 of those energy drinks, the sugar free. And I'll have a half a can of one of those when I'm going out the door to go to the gym. So that's what I do. But that's it.
Yeah, that's
Mostly
not
just the
bad.
1 cup in the morning. No, it's not bad. I mean, it would be too much for me. So
Yeah.
that's about it. But I
Yeah.
think caffeine's okay. I mean, I think it's just as good as any of those pre-workout things. That's my opinion. What do you think?
I'm very sensitive to caffeine, and it has
You are?
it has a reuptake cycle. So that's a lot of
Uh-huh.
times why it'll wake people up at nighttime. And
Hmm.
so I do intentional sort of caffeine detoxes, typically 2 to 3 times per year, where I will
Hmm.
just decide it's time. And because and the way that I know is like, if I can drink a cup of coffee and go lay down and take a nap, I'm like,
Uh-huh. Oh,
it's not really helping me in the caffeine
yeah.
aspect. I really
That's
just
true.
drink it because I like the flavor, right? Like the
Hmm.
flavor and the caffeine or the creamer. But I know that I set some boundaries for myself where I try not to have any caffeine after 12 o'clock because I know
Okay.
that it
That's
will
good.
affect my sleep. And sometimes
That's a
I'm an
good
asshole
idea.
about it. Sometimes I live in Vegas, and if my boyfriend
Hmm.
wants to go out, I'm like, we got to hype the party up. Like I need
Uh-huh.
something, so I might have a Red Bull, or we might share an energy drink or something at like
Uh-huh.
6 p.m. But because we know we're not going to bed till like 1, right?
Right. Yeah, that's
So
just a smart thing to do. It's
yeah.
either take a nap or have a Red Bull.
Correct.
So
And
one
that's
of the
usually the deciding factor.
uh-huh.
I'm like, am I taking a
Yeah.
nap or am I hyping up? But yeah, I think in moderation, it's totally fine. I just
I think so too.
see
That's
people
cool.
abuse it all day long and they just can't figure out they don't sleep. I'm like, well, let's start here, right? Let's start with pulling that back a little bit.
Now, okay, but green tea is really good. So,
Yes,
there's benefits to that. So if people are going to have some caffeine, then go have the green tea. I mean,
definitely.
I've read about, so to me, that's also, for a while I was having it every day, but it does have some caffeine. It's not as much
It's very
as the
mild.
regular tea. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So I hear you. I
Yeah.
hear you.
So now when it comes to your cardio, right? We have the Renee when she's competing and we have the just lifestyle being a healthy and hot 73-year-old baddie. What does that look like? Like in prep, what's kind of like the max you'll be doing and like what do you do now just to maintain a low level of body fat and be lean? Because that's really where you're at, right?
Well, I don't feel lean right now. See,
Well,
and
we
see
have
this
bodybuilder
is
brains, okay? That
I
doesn't
know.
count.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I mean, and whenever I beat myself up, I say, I am still, like 12 pounds lighter than I was when I was,
Yeah.
60 or something
Yeah.
like that. So
And you
I have to
look
remind myself of
entirely
that.
different, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally look different. And I am 2 inches shorter than I was, 10
Yeah.
years ago.
That's to be
But
expected.
yeah, it
Yeah.
happens. I mean, I had that surgery, and I think it compressed it. So I'm 5 foot and a smidge, not 5'2". But normally I would have about 30 minutes of cardio, which is usually a day, and that's usually the elliptical. So that would be about it. Erin, the coach that I use for my prep, separate from Dustin, she's not a big fan of too much cardio. Now, that would be also, I would be leaner than I am right now. And so 30 minutes is probably, not a big deal. But I have to say, I'm cheating now and I'm having more like 45 minutes to an hour lately, just because in a month I'm going to be on stage. But people are going to say that's not good, and it's
Right.
really not. It's really not, because then I think you raise your cortisol levels and, your body starts to not work at it. So, but Dustin, so I have the coach Dustin and I have the coach Erin. She's great. But Dustin had a theory. This is way back before I was bodybuilding, that, the football players and stuff, if they want to drop some weight, they just get on the treadmill and they walk slow for a longer period of time to burn fat. And then you don't destroy your muscle. So that's kind of what I'm trying to find a healthy balance right now for the next 4 weeks somehow. So I might drop a pound or two and lean out a little bit before I get on the angel stage. So,
Okay.
but it's not recommended, now. I mean,
Right.
what do you think? What do you tell your people?
So are we talking about going into prep or just for
Yeah.
lifestyle?
Let's just say for prep and then maybe in lifestyle too.
Yeah. So for a prep scenario, when I get a new client in, I really like to get a lot of data because I don't like to make decisions based off of feelings. Well, like I feel I kind of get this many steps, or I kind of, I paddle here and do cardio there. So I like data because that's what moves the dial. So when you come to me, like for example, I had a gal in her mid 50s and she came to me and she wanted to compete, and she said she could never really get lean enough, and she still, dealt with cellulite and she wasn't really building a ton of muscle. Well, when I sat with her and we had a conversation much like this one, I found out that she was getting 15 to 18,000 steps per day, and she had all these weird little nagging injuries and pains that like she couldn't lift heavy on certain lifts because they bothered her joints. And so with that, because she's lived at such a high level of output, because she was doing it for a long time, this was like her body's new set point. I mean, think about like a UPS driver or a FedEx driver. Like I have seen plenty of what I would consider overweight drivers, and you're thinking, well, how can they be overweight, right? They're in and out of, they probably get, so many steps per day. They have this really active job. It's because your body likes to adapt. And so over time, they may have noticed a little bit of weight loss in the beginning, but then the body adapts, and they probably made up for it with more food somewhere down the line, right? Intentionally.
Sure.
So anyways, that was a kind of a tangent, but I like to get them in and figure out what their steps are. And I am very much on the camp of the one coach that does not like to do tons of cardio, because it just gives your body a tired look, right? I always say you don't want soggy glutes, right? Like we want everything to stay as firm and tight as possible. So there's some ways you can do this, and you can, some coaches are really heavy into like having their athletes do HIIT training, right? Going and doing like Orange Theory classes, or, plyometrics, where they're doing jump box jumps and jump squats and all that fun stuff. And I think that's fine for certain part of the demographic, and also for a certain part of your prep, right? Like athletes shouldn't be doing that when they're like 8 weeks out, right? That's too close. It's going to affect your training. I really try to sit with the person and just say like, what do you enjoy doing? How can we meet in the middle to make that happen, right? Like for example, my last client that I just put on stage, she won the Canada, or she didn't win, but she got third. Christine, she really wanted to do her prep differently. And you've done traditional bodybuilding preps, so it's very black and white. There's no gray. And when we had a conversation, she said, well, the only way I'm going to do the show is if I can make it work with my lifestyle. I'm a digital nomad. I have twin daughters. Like I like to surf. I like to be active and travel and do all these things. And so she'd asked me if swimming could count towards her cardio at one point. And we were, I want to say 6 weeks out, we were a little bit behind on fat loss. And I said, I know how in theory it sounds like it would work because it burns a lot of calories. However, in my experience, I have never ever heard of somebody doing swimming to get shredded for their bodybuilding show. But you could certainly probably prove me wrong. But I've never seen it. I've been around the block a time or two. I would hate for us to try that in this scenario without really knowing if that's going to be effective.
It's going to work. Okay.
Right.
Well, that was diplomatic.
So she kind of did what she wanted sometimes anyway. So I figured she's probably thrown it in there, and whatever. But nonetheless, she looked fantastic. But just to what you're saying is, it just really depends. I've had some clients that do no cardio. They're like, they come in and they're naturally really thin, and we're trying to just keep their muscle on. And I'm like, please do not get more than 8,000 steps a day. And then I have the clients where I'm like, we ramp them up to 15,000, but it's a progression because we've pulled it back to like a sustainable level, which I think is like 8 to 10,000 steps for normal people who work like a 9 to 5 and they maybe are at a desk or whatever. They're going to have to push to get 8 to 10,000 steps. You know that, right? Like,
right.
So I kind of see where everybody's at and what their lifestyle is. And then I will design the plan that works, because some people will need a ton of cardio because they sit too much all day. And some will need different strategies, less calories. I mean, it's kind of all over the board.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Well, you're just figuring it out based upon what their normal daily routine is.
Absolutely.
So that they're going to get what they need, but not too much. And, if they're sedentary, you're going to make sure that they're getting what they need. So that's cool.
Yeah. And that's one of the big things that why we ask what their step count is. And also too, one of the things that I tend to do that I don't see a lot of other coaches do, and it's not to say that it's wrong, is that when you give a person, like if I said, okay, Renee, you're going to start prep and you're 20 weeks out and I want you to just do 4 days of 30 minutes on the treadmill, incline treadmill. Okay. if you don't give people parameters, they just kind of will be like, all right, I did my 30 minutes, right? So like people need specifics. I need you to be at this speed. I need you to be at this incline. That's one way, but I prefer to do is I say, okay, Renee, you're 73. We're going to find out what your target heart rate is for fat loss. And then when you're on the treadmill, I want you to be in that zone for 30 minutes because that makes sense, right?
Oh, cool.
So it's kind
that
of
makes
just
better sense.
It's really getting more precise results than just like, oh, let me just go bebop my ponytail around on the elliptical.
Right, or whatever.
Right.
Well, that is being scientific about it.
Yeah.
You're doing the math.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
So-
It's science and math. That's what I say about that.
It
weight
really
loss.
is.
It really is. It is.
How's your training? How do you feel with training? Like, do you go in and crush it? Do you like hit PRs or do you just, this feels tough. Like I got a few more reps here,
Well, now, and so Dustin had me on, his routine, and then I took off for about 6 months and I was doing something else with another awesome person. And he had but that was on an app and I wasn't so good at that and I would hurt myself, but I don't go crazy with it, really. I mean, right now, I'm just kind of, Dustin feels like when I get closer to actually being on stage for a competition, then he's going to do more of the heavier, we're going to do heavier then because I've got this fusion in my back and I have to be careful.
Yeah.
And I mean, it bothers me here and there. It's like, I have to tell him, okay, my back's acting weird. So then we back off of something, whatever. So I don't crush it, but I mean, I'm pretty strong. So what I'm doing is pretty good, but nothing crazy, and he mixes it up every day. It's a little different. I'm usually do, 6 to 8 different types of exercises and, nothing crazy. But yeah, I'm not like just, pumping iron heavy and big time. I'm making it happen, just not going crazy doing it. And because I feel like I want to save it for whenever I am really trying to look my best and rather than just go crazy on, all the different machines and then hurt myself and wish I had have been a little bit more mild. So that's just the way it's worked for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have any desire to try to get your pro card?
I want to. I mean, and I got my pro card through, a different federation.
Okay.
So I have the GBO pro card and I got that over time, but and I want to. I mean, I've competed twice in Masters Nationals and I haven't done Universe, but, I've competed in those tough shows. And the big thing is, 60 plus is the oldest category they have.
Oh.
And when I competed 2 years in a row at Masters Nationals, in Pittsburgh, it was like, there was like 16 women and I came in like 12th or something like that. So pro card's a long way off and so I did that for a couple of years consistently. And I mean, I got all these different, 13 shows over time. And I just said, I'm not going to throw thousands of dollars into, the NPC pot whenever there's still so many women competing. So if there was less women, then I would be more interested. And, I would love a pro card. I'm just competitive. That's just my nature.
Do you want me to talk to Sandy and Tyler and see if we'll add a 70 and over category?
Oh my God. Well, you know what? Who's the daddy that's the older man that's Tyler, whatever his name is?
Jim Mannion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at one of the shows, I campaigned for a 65 plus and they would not do it. They would not do it. And so to me, there's still some,
Oh, trust me, girl, I'd be knowing.
So, I mean, if I wish, because I wanted that. I'm just like, give me 65 plus and I'll go kill it. I can get a pro card with a 65 plus. But when it's 60 plus and you're competing with women that have been competing for 15 years or whatever, and they just turned 60, your chances are less. And the logic too is, well, if there's 16 women competing, how many years is that going to happen? Now, I almost did Universe. Okay. I thought about Universe this year. And now my friends who competed, Pat, who is 69, got 5th place in 60 plus in Universe. And I know her. She's my friend. I'm actually going to be in one of her New York Week fashion shows. And she started competing because of me. And she got 5th just, a few days ago. That's pretty awesome. But there were only like 10 women or something like that. And then Tina, one of my angel girlfriends, she came in 8th. So that's 2 women I know personally who look good, and they, it's still, to me, if I got in the top 5 for 60 plus, I'd probably feel good, but that's not a pro card. So I thought about it, and
Okay.
I won a pro card, and I did get one through GBO. So I have to say, I do have my pro card through Global Bodybuilding Organization, and I got that last year, and I felt good about that. So I technically have a pro card,
I
just
love
not
it.
from NPC. So it's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I love competing in NPC. NPC. I mean, I competed last year at, several shows that were NPC shows just for the fun of it, and with those 50-year-olds, whatever. And I have the Leela Brada Classic. That was so much fun. And that was last year, about a year ago. And I got 3 trophies for that. It's just so much fun. And I just got up there and had fun. So
What's your
that's
favorite?
part of the
What's your favorite part about it?
it's really, I hate the part about being on stage. I
That's my
can't.
favorite
Oh
part.
my God. Well, I never feel like I look, I'm doing it right. But just there's the energy there, and there's so many awesome people you meet. I love that. That has a lot to do with it too. And it just feels good. I don't know how to explain it, but
It's rewarding.
it is rewarding. And I guess the big thing is every time I get up there, I am making a statement, okay, about women. There is no age limit. So for me, I feel like that's really what I'm doing up there mostly, is making a statement. This is possible, at any age, and whatever happens. So that right there is enough for me, really. I mean,
Love it.
as much as I want a pro card, it's okay. I'm having fun. And I mean, I'm getting to do stuff that most 73-year-olds never even imagined doing. So I'm getting to do that. That's
Yeah.
pretty darn awesome.
It's amazing. I mean, you're so inspirational across the board in so many ways, but definitely to women who struggle with feeling like they can start something new and scary because they're too
Yeah.
old, right? And kind of to shift gears a little bit, one of the questions I wanted to ask you is, what do you wish women would stop doing
Would stop doing? Well,
for their own
mostly.
good, right?
Okay. Yeah. Well, I would say, beating themselves up for unnecessary stuff, like right now, what I've been doing, I have, I'm being human here. And it's like these few pounds I want to lose. I know how to lose them. I'm not doing what I need to do. And I'm beating myself up about it. So quit beating you just got to love yourself, and, do like Joyce, my therapist. That's good enough. Sometimes you just have to say that's good enough. Women we're so hard on ourselves, really. I feel like we're just so hard on ourselves, and we need to give ourselves more grace. I mean, and I'm saying that because I need to do it too. And I mean, I'm way ahead of a lot of women, I know, and I'm thrilled, that I am, but it creeps back in there just like, it does for so many of us. And the cool thing about being 73 is you really don't care that much about what other people, and you kind of can say and do a lot of what you want to do.
So true.
And get by with it. It really is true. It's amazingly true. So that's kind of cool.
I love it. I love it. Now, when you think about the women because one of the things that happens a lot in the demographic that I'm in, where they're restarting every Monday, right? Or they're like, oh, they're really good Monday through Thursday, then they fall off and they eat like an asshole, and they derail their whole self-care routine.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well,
Like, how do you get past that? Like, what would you say to somebody who was doing that?
well, it depends on what their goal is, I guess. But, if they could ramp it back a little bit, or, think twice before you eat that, or, especially about alcohol. Alcohol is like, it's just going to kill your fat loss. I would just say if they could do one thing, just don't drink, and that's what I would say. Or if they're going to, my rule of thumb, if I'm drinking, is I'm going to have at least 1 or 2 glasses of water with every alcoholic beverage I have anyway.
I love it.
But,
Hallelujah. I say that every time.
yeah.
I call it the
You just
alcohol
gotta
sandwich.
That's true. That's what
Or
it
the
is.
water
I'm gonna-
sandwich, I should say. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to have a Tito's and water with a splash of crayon and a water back, so you're just going to have all that.
Yeah.
So for sure. And even my coach, Dustin, actually has a distillery. My coach has a big distillery business. He
So
has,
funny.
isn't that wild? And he's got vodka, tequila. And he's doing well at it. I mean, it's like, this is amazing, huh? And but anyway, and he even says, if you're going to get a buzz, you just drink before and then you eat afterwards, and to get your best buzz if you're going to have some alcohol, and definitely drink the water, and clear alcohol is better. This is stuff we probably shouldn't be talking about, but it's a
It's a
reality.
reality. We're
It
social
is.
creatures, and I think it's very sort of heavy in the weekend time because
Yeah,
you're
it
out of work
is.
and stuff.
Sure.
I mean, I've been speaking a lot about just really getting women to stop thinking they're like 2 to 3 glasses of wine a night is to unwind is healthy, or it's like
It's not.
helping them sleep or whatever. And this is like bigger, deeper topics, but really like, why are you having to do that every night? Right. Like, I like the taste of wine too. I also know that if I have 2 or 3 glasses, I feel like dog shit the next day. Right.
Absolutely.
So, and it's not
It'll wake you up
productive.
during the night. It's going to wake you up during the night. And that's the other thing. It just messes up with your sleep, messes your sleep. I'm a wine club member. I get two awesome glasses of red wine every, and I bring them to parties, give them as gifts. I almost never, I haven't opened a glass of wine in my house in like a year at least. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I would say alcohol is probably the worst thing you can do for yourself. If you can avoid it, that would be the best. But I get it. I remember way back when I was like 22 years old, I guess, when I was still with my first ex-husband, and I would be the perfect, doing the same thing, Monday through Friday, just doing, and then on the weekends I'd kind of splurge. But I was married to a control freak anyway, but I would
That's
do
for
that
another
too. I
podcast.
did. Yeah, that's a whole nother talk. There's three husbands here. We
Oh
don't
my
have
God.
time.
Each one of them should get their own
Yeah.
podcast lesson from each one. I bet
Oh
you
my God.
everybody would love that.
That's funny. But anyway, yeah. So I did the same thing too when I was really young. And I don't know, you reap what you sow. If, you must not really want whatever it is at the end of the day. You may, is that a good enough goal? Are you okay with, backsliding every weekend? Maybe change it up. Do something different so you're not going to be, screwing it up. I mean, a lot of it's because you're going out to eat with friends and they order crap food, and stuff like that. And I missed this weekend. I did that too. I went and saw this great musician at Dan Electro's. It's like a little jazz dive bar. It's really cool. And he's a great musician. And all my friends, we all went together, and, I had a Coke Zero and they had alcohol. And then afterwards, they all wanted to go out to eat to Mexican food. And I just said, y'all have fun. And I went and picked up Coco from the dog sitter, and then I came home and I had my food. So, it's your choices, and so maybe that would be something too. If you're going to go out, think ahead, and I do that. When I go to the ball games, I've posted before on the Astros games. I pop my own popcorn. I bring my own tuna packets. I do all that kind of stuff. So plan for your bad behavior, I guess, is what I would say. If you can do that, maybe it'll be half as bad or
Right.
something like that.
I always say like
And still,
plan for your future you. Like your future you will thank
yeah,
you.
right. Absolutely. I know. And I mean, that's the truth, your future you. And you know what you want. Maybe you need to have some picture on your refrigerator that you want to remember. And, looking at the calendar, how many days, like right now I got a month to get where I want to be before I get on that stage. And you have to kind of trick yourself, I think. Just kind of trick yourself, and you don't have to be bad every weekend just because it's the weekend. You can do other things. I don't know, go have some extra sex or something. I don't know.
Oh my gosh, fat
Whatever.
free, calorie free, and
That's right.
sinful, please.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, I mean, everybody's kind of wondering, like, is Renee single? Are you single on purpose? You're single on purpose.
Well, I'm single, and I just can't settle. I just
But do you
there's so
want
much.
to?
I don't want to settle.
Yeah.
No, I don't want. No, I'm not going to settle. And I don't really want to get married again. I don't need a husband. I'd love a companion, but who do I date? Okay, do you see what 70-year-old men look like?
Oh, yeah,
Have
yeah.
you seen them lately?
I mean, you're going to
And
be looking for a 50-year-old, a 50-year-old hottie.
yeah, and really, and that's I kind of end up dating 50-year-olds. That's
Yeah.
kind of my age range. I mean, those 20 and 30 they're too young. They're
They
in another.
totally are in your DMs, I'm sure.
Well, they're maybe.
And I only say this because I get hit on by 20-year-olds. I had a 20-year-old at the nursery the other day totally hitting on me as I was
Oh,
buying
that's so cool.
plants, and I was blushing and sweating like a schoolgirl. I was like, "Get me out of here. My son's older than you." Okay?
Oh my God. I know that, and it happens. I mean, that's a thing.
It
This
is.
older woman thing,
Yeah.
whatever. It's a thing. It really is. I didn't know it was a thing, but now I see it's a
It's
thing.
a thing.
And it's a thing. And, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think people need to do whatever they want to do,
Yeah.
and if I want to do it, I'll do it. But, and, like I said, I'd love a great companion, but I'm not willing to settle for someone who that's not my type, or, they don't have their act together. I don't need to babysit anybody, and I don't need somebody to take me to dinner so I can, watch them talk about themselves, and show and try to impress me. I can take myself, like I can buy myself flowers, like
Yeah.
Miley Cyrus says,
Yeah,
so I can
exactly.
do all that. So it is a challenge because, just where I am, it's just a weird situation. But yeah, so it is. I am single, but
Yeah.
I don't always say I'm single, but yeah, I'm single.
I mean, what do we tell women who are so afraid of being single? Because I've been single for 10 years. I was married for 10 in a very on and off again marriage with a lot of infidelity on his behalf. And, I eventually went there too. And so being single was terrifying for me. I don't know how you dealt with it. And I, had kids and I'm like, oh, I'm damaged goods. And what are people going to think? I mean, I remember, and I haven't told this story on the podcast yet, but I remember just being so depressed after my ex-husband and I, one of our many separations, and just being on the couch, consumed a bottle of wine, and it's like Christmas is days away and none of my Christmas stuff is up. I have 3 children, and my sister and her best friend came over as I laid on the couch in a heap of a mess and put my house together for my kids for Christmas because I just couldn't even get my
Yeah,
shit together. Right.
you just couldn't function.
Right. And so I look back to that girl and I'm thinking, man, like I had no idea it would come this far, that I'm like, I went so far the other way. I was like, no one is going to be in my energy or space unless they deserve to be there. Right. Like I can share that space with somebody as a partner. So I'm always curious with other women who've stayed single intentionally because they
Yeah.
don't feel like they need another person. It's nice, but it's not a necessity.
Yeah. And it is, once you get into that, I mean, it's like, and I'm not one of these, whatever, these liberated women, like there's
Anti-men.
always,
Yeah. No, I'm not like
I'm
that
not
either.
that person. I'm not that person. I mean, because then you get a lot of that,
Yeah.
because, like you're too picky or whatever. And so you have to kind of ignore all that. But yeah, we only have so many hours a day, in our lives. And you want to spend it in a quality situation, and you don't want to just fritter it away on unnecessary entertainment or whatever like that. And the older you get, the more about what I know, more about what I don't want. A
Most
lot more about
definitely.
what you don't want. And I can go down the list of those don'ts. But yeah, I think there's nothing wrong with it. Some women feel like they've got to have a person in their lives. That I get it, and they need to work on their insecurity. They need to work on loving themselves because they got some situation going on there. And so I would just say it's not. To me, it's kind of cool actually, because you have choices. You can make decisions. You don't have to ask anyone else to go somewhere and do something or what you want to buy. You get to make all those choices yourself. And there's a lot of, it just feels good. So yeah, I feel sorry for women who feel like they just got to have a man in their life to be complete. That's not I don't believe that. I think it's great when you have someone to complement your lifestyle and them to you to complement theirs. That's awesome. But if that isn't there, well, I'm just not going to have that.
Yeah.
And I have plenty of things to do, and I meet lots of interesting people, and some interesting men along the way. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's okay. I mean, I say I won't put up with any bullshit. I just not going to put up with any bullshit because I've done it all by myself for a long time, and it can compromise your situation if you get in it's just like a virus on your computer. If you get that virus
Oh,
in
yeah.
there, and it messes up your life. So, and I haven't really told anyone this, but I actually was in a rehab for a depression when my son was just a couple of years old. I mean, he wasn't even walking. So, because I got so depressed like that, Diane. And so I know what you're talking about. That is real. I mean, I was in there for like 2 weeks just because I was so depressed. And it's scary, especially whenever you're by yourself and you got kids to take care of and a business or whatever. So I get it, but you can recover from that. And that's what I would say to women who are devastated because they got a divorce that they never saw coming. that guy did you a favor. That is just, it's a blessing, and you have so much more to come. That's what's so cool. There's so much more to come. You just don't know what it is, but it's going to be awesome. You get to make it whatever you want it to be. Definitely.
Well, I think that just ends the podcast on a beautiful note. Like, I couldn't
Okay.
have said
I
it
love
better myself. I mean, I am all for empowering women to like fully step into their purpose, their passion, and what they want. And it's not a like, let's burn our bras and we hate men. No, it is
Right.
nothing. I absolutely love my partner. I love being adored. I love how he takes care of me. And I have very much like you, a list of things I don't want. And I'm very clear because I've had those things, and I will refuse to be in a relationship that has those things any longer. And so I think when you become incredibly clear about what your boundaries are and what you're willing to accept and not, then it speaks volumes. You already know
It does.
what direction you're really going. I love that you said all that. It was great. It was great. It was great.
Well, it just everything worked out.
It did. It did.
And you're so awesome. I mean, I'm just so excited that we got to do this again.
Me too.
Really, so
I
much
could do this
fun.
once
So
a month.
cool.
I'm sure
You're so good at it.
I had several people DM me and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I cannot wait for this episode. I loved the first one." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, it's gonna be fun. We'll have a good time." Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Well,
So,
I would be happy to do some. We can do some kind of live Q&A sometime if you want to. I mean, I don't know what, but whatever. So,
totally.
I think we have good energy together.
yeah, it's
So
easy.
That's cool.
It's girl talk. It's totally girl talk.
Yeah.
Well, as
I do love that.
I know, it's so much fun. As I close out, is there anything you left I didn't cover that you really wanted to say? I know you had some fun sticky notes there.
Yeah, I think I said most of it.
Yeah.
For the women who are, I would just, if you're 45 or 50 and you think you're old, I don't even want to hear about that. You come back in 20 years and we'll talk. So,
And you'll probably tell us then that we're still
That's
not.
right. I'll still be around.
Yes.
So I guess that's the most important. You are so not old, and we all have the same stuff inside of us. You just dig deep whenever things get tough, and you can pull yourself out of anything. And, we are powerful people. We got everything we need to take care of ourselves. We just have to tap into it and stay positive. I mean, in fact, I feel so good I got to talk to you because, we've had some challenges here in Texas lately. I feel so much better now that I talked to you. So staying positive and communicating with other people, I think is so important. So I would just say, stay positive. You're not freaking old. You're not going to be old ever. So don't worry about that.
I love it. I love it. We're so lucky to have you. You're such a bright, shiny light. And with everything like that's going on in social media, it's so nice to know we pop on your page and it's always going to be positive and inspiring and motivating. So thank you for that. We all appreciate that.
Well, I'm just thrilled that I get to do it. Thank
Yeah.
you for having me back again too.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is so much fun,
and
Diane.
I'll link up your social media and everything for everybody. But I will say, I think you need to do YouTube, my friend. I feel like you would be a YouTube rock star.
Well, and I have a YouTube channel. I just don't know what to do with it. So tell them to look at my YouTube, but I need to learn how.
Yeah.
We need to talk because
Sure.
I want to I've thought about it. I want to do YouTube. I just don't know what to do.
Okay.
So we'll talk for
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely. Okay. Well, thank you so
Okay.
much. I love you. You're amazing.
I love you.
And
I
we'll
can't wait to
connect.
see you again.
Yes, I know.
Okay.
Bye, Renee.
Bye-bye, Diane.
Do you guys like how I had to ask a little spicy, are you single question? I got to step outside the boundaries a little bit. I can't be just asking simple, boring questions about her diet and exercise. Like, we know that's good stuff, but we want like the good stuff. So Renee is amazing. I hope you guys enjoyed her as much as I enjoyed this episode. I was getting emotional during points of the episode. I was trying to hold it back and I was smiling the whole time. So if you're listening to this over on YouTube and we have the video, go find it. It's a lot more fun to watch us emote and laugh together. But what you can tell that Renee has down pat is that she wants to live her fullest life. And in order for her to live a full, happy, and energetic life, she has to take care of herself. She has to take care of her body. It wouldn't be possible for her to do all the things that she does at her age had she not be real diligent about her self-care and her health. And that's always our mission. That's always what we want for you guys too. And Renee is definitely the definition of healthy and hot. So you want to join our Healthy and Hot challenge. It's coming this September. Make sure to get yourself on the wait list. Okay. We talk about a lot of the things that we talked about today. We went down a lot of different shiny paths, but more particularly what makes up the foundation of your healthy and hot lifestyle. And so throughout our challenge, we're going to really guide you and hold your hand and really show you how to do this and make it a lifestyle that you're really happy with and chasing not only body goals, but hotness and health and all of your dream goals. Really, it comes from feeling confident within. And a lot of times that is brought by way of taking care of your body and your mind. So join us for the Healthy and Hot Challenge. Starts September 22nd. There will be a link in the description to sign up to get on the wait list for more information. We'll have a VIP version as well, where you get to spend a little bit more time with us, diving a little deeper into your specific journey. So when you leave the challenge, you actually feel like you know the direction to take your healthy and hot lifestyle. So we'll see you there. All right. Bye.